Hi, I'm David Twiggs, General Manager of Blaylock Lake Sporting Club, south of Atlanta, and we've been real excited about starting to shoot Helice here at Blaylock. This is an extremely addictive shotgun game. Everyone that's coming out, regardless of age, gender, are having a great time with this. When I started planning to build a Helice ring, there wasn't a lot of resources out there. So now that I've completed it, I'm getting a lot of inquiries.
I've been talking with several other managers of sporting clubs throughout the U.S. on what it takes to build Helice, and I've made enough mistakes that I'm happy to pass those along. And any way that we can help, we want to see the sport grow. It's just an addictive shotgun sport, and I think everybody's going to enjoy it who tries it. There is a lot of planning work that needs to be done prior to starting, from site location, equipment, all those different elements. I think the biggest key you have to look at is while the actual ring itself are pretty identical ring to ring across the country, the facilities and how they feel, the vibe that you're wanting to throw for your particular sporting club is very different, and there's a lot of things that come into play and a lot of stuff that come in. When it comes down to general operation of those, again, there's nothing better than talking to people who've already done it, and I've had some great folks from Cherokee Roads and different other Helice facilities that have stepped up to help me and answer questions when, again, everybody is kind of doing this from the start. There's not a lot of these in the U.S. yet, and we just need to help everybody that we can.
We first located our potential site and then took a look at the actual size, and of course we had to convert it from metric. Then we had to see how it actually laid out on the ground. Now you typically want a due north aspect on these, but we had to adjust it a bit because, again, safety concerns, sight lines, shooting lines, all of those things have to be taken into consideration. As you're looking at your major costs, grading is, of course, something to be concerned. We had a relatively flat site, still had some fairly extensive grading that goes in. As soon as we got our rough grading, we wanted to get this thing seeded so that we weren't dealing with any type of erosion. This is a fairly long process. After the grass came in on our site, we dug in our conduit lines for our 5 machines. We decided to put double conduits to each machine rather than bring one up the center and split it, and I think we made the right decision from a standpoint protecting interference between the different lines. It was a relatively minor cost for an extra operational assurance. We then got our masons in to lay out our foundation for our pavilion and our bases for all of our actual Helice, the 5 Helice bases. The specs say that the slide, the pads for the machines, and the back fence the bottom of the back fence should all be on the same plane. That does not mean the same level, but it does mean the same plane. As we started to pour all of our elements, we had to factor that we were going to cover all of these with a flagstone to make sure we didn't have any odd trip hazards. At the same time, we installed our 24-inch powder-coated black chain link. A lot of discussion on whether you should use a solid background or a chain link. We decided to go with the chain link just because it was efficient on getting it in and long-term maintenance. Basically, all Helice rings are the same. However, your pavilions and your spectator areas, those types of things are really what can make a difference in how these and how classy the operation is. Now, we had an architect design our pavilion. Tim Adams. He did a fantastic job on that. We decided to go with the timber frame because of the speed of putting it up and just the natural beauty that comes with that. We had a 6-month wait on our timber framing to be constructed. However, once they were on site, the whole structure was erected in a couple of days, ready for our local contractor.
Here you can see from the slide section, this side over here, that's going to be the part with the Helice. The doors go into the outside so that my guys can come out here and reload. You can see inside, there's the inside storage for shells and all of those. We did a nice little timber frame structure in through there, and we'll be putting fans and lights and things like that. Now where we are, we can't shoot at night, so you'll notice we don't have any lights on our arena. If you have the opportunity to shoot into the evening, if the county doesn't, county or neighborhood, whatever circumstances doesn't prohibit that, I think that's a fantastic thing to do. I see a lot on private rings in other places, and you can just have a great time shooting Helice under lights. We've got storage facing in on the back side of this wall. We've got storage facing out. We'll keep our shells and equipment for our shooters in this side, and then of course we'll keep all our Helice and our extra machine. We bought 6 machines so that if we ever had a breakdown. But one of the just simple features is this elevation, the elevation change, and we did about a 4-foot elevation change from the shooting slide up to the viewing station, and that just adds to the enjoyment of the whole thing. I think it's an important feature. This is a spectator sport, and it's about camaraderie, and it's about friends shooting with friends. So being able to shoot and give each other a little grief over a missed shot, that's part of the fun. So don't forget about elevating your pavilion or whatever type of viewing platform that you're going to be working on.
We decided to put in flagstone both in our pavilion, on our slide, and also on the front of our the actual Helice pads that you can see from the pavilion. That's purely aesthetic reasons, absolutely no functional reason for that, but we wanted it to match the rest of our lodge and other shooting facilities. It was also about a 6-month wait on our actual Helice machines to be built and shipped from Italy. We were excited when we got them and wanted to start testing them out as soon as our facility got to the level that we were able. Now, we made some mistakes here, and I'll explain some of that aspect now.
And of course, we don't have permanent power in yet, so we were hooking up our system just to give it a test and started to see a lot of problems. And what we found is the draw on these. So when you build these facilities, we're going to go ahead and build a circuit for each one of our machines, which is more than likely overkill. But what I was having happen is again, just not enough current to be able to pull through. And when the failures that I was seeing, and I think it's worth noting because it's indication of power failures.
Our first problem was a power source problem. You can't test these without a reliable power source. We were running these off of extension cords, and there was also other machinery going on, drawing off the same temporary power pole. As you can see in these pictures, we fired up the machine, and different machines keep dropping off and popping on and dropping off and popping on. But we just found that was just purely a power problem. It's also the reason we decided to go with a separate circuit for every specific machine.
The other challenge that we were having is when we said, when we were pushing our button and saying pull, there was not enough power to pull the electromagnet pin that released the vol, or the front door, which actually released the bird on that. So we were thinking we had all these different problems inside of this thing when it was really just a power issue. But one of the things that's also worth noticing, as I'll fire them up. As I'm sitting here, I'm running 4650 RPM right now. but as I move it up, and our guys like to shoot them fast, so when I was moving them up to say 6,000, you start experiencing a different set of problems. I'm going to go ahead and run it up to 7,000 just to see if I can show you. Now, one of the things that ends up happening, I'll press it again. Some of our heads are not quite strong enough to hold the birds at 7,000 RPM, then you'll get an automatic release. But it won't be a registered release. And of course it will recycle and cycle through on there. But I'm going to see if I can pull now. I'm at 7,000 RPM. I'll push my button. I'll start it over. But run out of time. Pull! Pull! So they fly fantastic when they fly. But I'm also finding that I'm starting, when I'm running them that high, I start to get a few magnet failures and switch failures out there. Pull! If you start seeing a lot of these, a machine breaking one wing off a lot of them, you're typically having a problem with your
solenoid volt release.
Control box will tell it to pull. It will show that it's pulled. Everything thinks that this thing has pulled, when in reality there's still one on the head. And what happens is, since the door didn't fall down, it's going to go through its recharge cycle, and it's going to bring that head down, even though it has a bird on it, and push into the other bird. And that's where you can see if that head comes down just like it is right now, it's going to be pushing that bird right into it. So you end up with a jam. You end up with a jam up.
So if the cycle is going correctly, this is what it ends up looking like. As long as everything's running well, it does a short cycle and then it's ready to go.
Seems to spin up fine.
To eliminate as much of these types of power problems as possible, again, build a circuit for every specific machine. As you're designing this, think about the station for your control box and all of these type of things. We're just using a table here, but you see we're building a board. We'll have again, because of our elevation, we can have a scoring chair up here, kind of a desk, and have a lockable box that will come in. We'll have a custom cabinet made, so we'll be able to lift up, work our controls, get them set for a tournament or whatever we're doing, close that down. We'll have another set of cabinets for additional shells at this facility. We provide all the shells for everyone. No one brings their own shells. So we'll have immediate shell storage. We'll have more shell storage over in our internal and through there. And then of course scorecards and all of those elements and all those little sundries that you need on that. But it's important that you be able to make sure, we didn't want to overthink it at the start. We wanted to see what the facility looked like, see what it felt like, and make sure that we built it. So again, we're just using this little table to do our testing off of. But we'll have a custom scoring desk and an inset lockable cabinet for our controls and through there. Our control cabinet gave us a centralized location for all our conduit to come in. We built a custom cabinet to cover that area that will allow us to lock the bottom parts of that. Again, there's not a lot in these, but it is an area you have to protect your wires. Mice love to chew these wires, so build a system that can protect them from the mice. When you order your machine, you'll have to make some decisions on what type of operating system you want to go. The one in the picture here is one over at Cherokee Roads, another fantastic Helice facility here in Georgia. They decided to go with these tokens so that their clients can come down, get tokens at the shop, and then come down and use the machines themselves. We decided not to go this way and go just with the operating panel. So that with this, we have to keep an operator down there anytime that the Helice is being used. And that's just an operational decision we decided to do from a customer service standpoint. Your gun racks and your shell bin trash is something that you need to think of. There's just not good stuff on the market that's going to match your facility when you come in. We designed our own and used the same building materials for the pavilion on these, and we're very pleased with them. We ordered outboard boat motor covers as the covers for our machines. At $15 a piece, you really can't find a more economical solution, and they do a good job.
Out on our shooting slide, we put this section of stall mat here on our 26-meter mark. One of the things that in hindsight I wish we would have done differently, this is our conduit for our microphone and our compensation microphone that runs all the way up to our building in our console. On the one hand, I wished I would have put it on the other side so it kept us a little cleaner from just an aesthetic standpoint. But secondly, I need a bigger box on these. One of the challenges that we've had, again, we get big rains in this area, and it filled up with water, filled our conduit up with water. There must have been a nick or a mouse bite on our cable somewhere. It blew our GFI outlet, GFI breaker on there. We had to come in, do some work, get it blown out. Now we're gonna seal the ends with silicone. We're letting it dry out in this beautiful sunshiny weather right now, but it's all back to working. So after a long rainy construction season and a lot of small mistakes, we built a facility that we're very proud of and that our members are really enjoying. Now we're working out our leagues and our little races and tournaments and things like that. But the more people we have come out and try it, the more they're enjoying it. It's just a great opportunity to stand around with your friends, see some good shooting, learn some, practice it. First time I did it, it hurt my feelings pretty bad, but just stay with it. It's a different type of shooting, and if we can help anybody out there, just get in touch with us. Let us know. Thanks. Bye.